Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Rick Reads Comics. We're jumping back into House of X and Powers of 10. We've been reading this trade right here. It's pretty thick. It includes the first 6 issues of each. And we are today going to jump into House of X number 2. Last week we did Powers of 10 number 1 and House of X number 1. And then now we're going to go to issue number 2. But it's been pretty cool so far. There's a lot of stuff to explore, a lot of kind of stories that are mixed in. It has a rich history, and we're kind of finding that out as we go. So I'm excited for it, but let's get started. I think, I've been reading the credits. I'll go ahead and do that again real quick. House of X number 1 through 6. The artist is Pepe Larraz. Color artists are Marty Gracia with David Curiel. Cover art is Pepe Larraz and Marty Gracia. I'll let you freeze this if you want and pause it. You can look at the rest of the credits. But of course, X-Men is created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Okay, let's jump through it. These issues, just in case you're wondering, are from 2019. So, I'm a little behind. Okay, so we are on House of X number 2. And in this trade is chapter 3. And it's called The Uncanny Life of Moira X. Let's jump in. If you can find it in you to survive, if you are worthy, then I will make you into something more than them, something eternal. And that's a quote from Apocalypse. And I think that's the Apocalypse symbol. So here we go. It says right here, when she was 13 years old, Moira fell ill. Her fever was high, unnaturally so, and the doctor's prognosis was not hopeful. The next day, almost miraculously, she was fine, better than ever, right as rain. Years later, she would marry, become a school teacher, and have 3 children, 2 boys, Colum and Dean, and 1 girl, Abigail. They would in turn have 8 children of their own, and to Moira's great joy, once every year the extended family would return home. Moira eventually died at the age of 74, when she passed peacefully in her sleep. It was a good life, a human life. Predictable, mostly pleasant, and not extraordinary at all. Moira's second life began in utero. It was the womb birth of a fully sentient being who had a perfect recollection of her prior life. You would think being totally aware and trapped inside your mother would lend itself to madness. But the rearing of children, it seems, comes with a certain amount of bliss, baked in some kind of embryonically induced neuroleptic zen via biology. And the truth is, I've never been happier, for your mother is safe. Your mother is home. It's the world out there that makes you lose your mind. So that's Moira. If you remember in House of X number 1, at the end, we saw her meet Charles Xavier, and they strike up a conversation. So let's keep going. Shortly after she was born, Moira's parents began to believe that she was special, and she was, just not the way they thought. There was nothing special about Moira learning to walk, speak, and read early. She was born knowing how to do these things. No, she was special because she was something new, and at the time, something few in the world, including herself, had ever seen. Though she did not know it, Moira was a mutant. All right, now let's go over here. In her early years, Moira had to be careful not to let on what she really was. She had to hide what was going on in a mind that was older than the humans who made her. She knew the pride they had for their special girl would quickly turn into fear if she pulled back the curtain a little too far. But try as she might, it was impossible to completely conceal how different she was. Her teachers began to use words like advanced and clever, which led to other words like brilliant and prodigy, which eventually led to Moira being pushed in the direction of academia, a life of the mind. Moira didn't fight these efforts, as she herself wanted to understand who and what she was, and had exhausted all the possibilities the perspective of her first life offered her. Moira would later attend Oxford University. While there, she met some interesting people and eventually, after consideration of her unknown condition, concentrated her studies in the areas of psychology and biology. She ran controlled experiments to prove that her memories were not a form of disorder or psychosis. She marked the existence of personal historical markers from her first life and discovered two things. If she simply performed her role in events as she did in her previous life, if she was a passive participant, then that event would proceed almost exactly as before. This proved her memories were real. But if she became an active participant, then she could change what happened, and the path of her life would diverge. Which you would think would be amazing. Who wouldn't want to fix all the mistakes you'd made in the past? Then again, that was before I knew what the observer effect was, and that simply by existing and watching, I was already changing everything. And what seemed to be a gift, something of a blessing, wasn't a blessing at all. It was a curse. Wow, this is pretty crazy. Meaning the love of your life, already knowing every flaw they possess, along with the knowledge they will never change, destroyed any chance of Moira recreating what she had in her first life. Familiarity breeds contempt, and her once husband could see it in her eyes. There would be no family for Moira in this life, no one to love, no one to be loved by, no children in the yard, playing and laughing. And she wondered, as she was, if there were others like her in the world, ruining it right alongside her. Then she saw a man on the television, someone she had a faint memory of, someone she met in school. I believe the shadows are no place for angels to hide. So, with that in mind, I feel it's finally time to put an end to masks, an end to hiding our gifts behind secret identities and ill fitting clothes. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Charles Xavier, also known as Professor X, and I am a mutant. His words echoed in her ears and took root in her heart. Moira knew then she might be a mutant too, and that she had to talk with this man and find out for sure. So Moira jumped on the first flight she could find to America and died when her plane crashed into the ocean. Oh my gosh. What? That's crazy. In Moira's third life, so that was the second one. In Moira's third life, she aggressively dove into a life of science. She realigned her areas of interest to focus on anthropology and genetics and actively sought out Charles Xavier when they were both at Oxford. She knew that he was hiding what he was at the time and pushing ideas that served his own interests, but she was able to use what she learned from him to determine that she was in fact a mutant. But the combination of her distaste for her natural abilities, along with the arrogance of Xavier's ideas and what she felt was his thinly disguised and God complex, made her fearful of revealing what she was to him. Charles Xavier, Moira decided, wasn't a solution to anything. He, like her, was suffering from a disease. Mutation, you see, is a cancer, and she decided to devote her life to curing the world of it. Wow, that changed drastically. And after years of research and experimentation, Moira and her team succeeded. She found a way to eliminate the cursed mutant gene. She found her cure. But she never got a chance to use it. She wasn't allowed to. It's interesting, I can't see her at all. I can see the world bending around her, the eddies of change rippling out, but she is just an absence, a hole where there shouldn't be one. A mutant who is invisible to other mutants. It's a defense mechanism of a sort, I suppose, but not much good once you know what you're looking for. Is she looking at me now, Raven? She is, and she doesn't look happy. Yes, well, I suppose we've given her good reason. Then again, we were acting with cause. Listen to me, child. My mutant name is Destiny, and I have the power to see the future, which is tricky with someone like you, since your mutant power is reincarnation. One might think that would be impossible, seeing the future of someone who potentially has a limitless, unending one. But here I am, child. See me. You, you killed all my friends, everyone. So if you're going to kill me, then just kill me and get it over with. Oh, we're going to do that, but it doesn't do much good if we just have to do it all over again next time. Now listen closely. Destiny has a word for you. Such a gift, knowledge, and yet here you are using it to betray your own kind. It's a disease, what we are. But I'm not trying to force it on anyone. I'm only trying to cure people who want it. You think this stops at once? You think they'll let you keep this thing you've made? Do you have any idea how much they hate us? The humans will come for you. They'll break you, chain you, and make you their own. Then mankind will use what you've done here to eliminate our entire race. I have seen the potential of your good works, and I do not care for them. How exactly is it that you think you can stop me? I am much older than you are. My powers will have manifested full of the knowledge of what we have done. If you once again try to do this evil work against our people, like today, I will see the potential outcome of it and find you again. And if you try to kill me before I kill you, I will see my end coming and prevent it. You see, Moira, we are joined together now, you and I. You will know what I am out there waiting for this version of you. Know that I am out there waiting for this version of you. And you knowing that, have a choice change or die. Help your people, or I will annihilate you and all your lives to come. But she's just quiet. And Mystique says, I think she's still on the fence and needs a bit more encouragement. Very well, here it is. You're a smart woman who is beginning to understand the potential of your power. You're starting to believe that you are in an eternal loop of some kind, that your powers give you a version of immortality. I want you to know they do not. I see 10 lives, Moira, maybe 11 if you make the right choice at the end, but that is all. How is that possible? You are born each time with the knowledge of your previous lives, but if you die as a child before your mutant powers manifest, then you will not reincarnate. You simply end like everyone else. And what if I don't believe you, or that what you've said is true, or that what you want is right? My dear, you're a scientist. You tell me how one would go about proving something like that. I test it, experience it for myself in my next life. The question is, will you? Will you embrace what you are and help your people instead of hurt them? I, I, I don't know. Let's find out. I don't want to die like this. Dying like this is what a life poorly lived gets you. Pyro? Yes, mother. Burn her, and slowly, so she doesn't forget how dying like this feels. And then Pyro incinerates her, and she screams. Dang, that's crazy. Okay, so that was her third life. Now we're going into fourth, and I guess Destiny is the narrator, maybe, or it could be her later. I don't know. We'll see. Moira's fourth life began with urgency. She threw herself into fully understanding what she would eventually call the human mutant dilemma. When two aggressive species share the same environment, evolution demands either adaptation or dominance. Moira began to look at the problem beyond her own limited experience and considered the potential benefits of Homo superior. After all, evolution is what gave the world mankind. Perhaps in the coming days, the world would need something more. And in this new light, Moira also gave Charles Xavier a second look. She saw beyond the confidence, beyond the arrogance, to what was hidden underneath. A mutant who was determined to make sure his people had a place in the world. He was a mutant with a dream, and over time, it made her love him. Okay, here we go. We get into the X-Men now. So much so that she stood by his side for the rest of their days, through the gifted years, through the time of hate and fear, through the lost decade, until the very end, when, as destiny had promised, the humans and their extinction machines came for them and all the children. Dang. In Myra's fifth life, she was decided aggression was, hold on, let me start over. In Myra's fifth life, she decided aggression was the only acceptable response to the violent tendencies of man. Stealing the means from her parents, she ran away from home at the age of 13 and fled to America. There, Moira sought out Charles Xavier almost a full decade before they were supposed to meet. She opened her mind to him for the first time and saw all that she had experienced in her first 4 lives. He saw how his dream had failed, and the experience radicalized him. Instead of a school of mutants, he gathered a legion. He built a city full of man's evolutionary betters. And the walls they held back the outside. Okay. And the walls they held back the outside world of man. Until the machines, Bolivar Trask's adaptive learning machines, came for the mutants again. Moira spent the entirety of her seventh life eradicating the Trask bloodline. Bolivar, Donald, Gwyneth, Simon. Without mercy, without pity, she came for all their children. Then, with blood on her hands and blood in her mouth, Moira learned the darkest truth of all her many lives regarding man's nightmare machines. Artificial intelligence is like fire. It's a discovery, not an invention. All she succeeded in doing was stopping a Trask from being the first human to burn their hand. So they're still getting built. Like mutants, the machines simply emerge at a certain point during societal and environmental evolution. And with that, any hope Moira had of her being able to stop them died, and the experience radicalized her. In Moira's eighth life, she left behind the dream of Charles Xavier and embraced the necessary evil of the Master of Magnetism. Moira filled Magneto's mind with stories of future holocausts, another war lost, another people destroyed. Magneto raged. Dang, there he is, taking over stuff. He has the missiles, about to launch them to Washington, D.C., it looks like. And then all the Avengers and everybody X-Men come for him. And fell to the combined might of Earth's human heroes and the mutants. Betrayed by his own kind, fools who believed in a greater human good. Oh, it's pretty good with all the characters. And with what she feared was little time left, little lives left, Moira embraced the idea of evolutionary dominance, survival of the fittest. Some thought him a monster, some called him evil. But to Moira, apocalypse was simply the only solution she had not tried. So she's been through everybody, Professor X, Magneto, and all the other stuff, science, and now she's going to Apocalypse, the villain. And if the humans wanted a war, if their machines did, then they would give them one without end. So there they are, Moira and Apocalypse fighting. That's Nimrod. There's all the heroes dead. That's crazy. And then, after all the lives lost, after the end of all the wars, armed with the knowledge that all the old ways and all the old ways of thinking would never be enough to save her people, she decided to try something truly revolutionary. And in Moira's 10th life, she decided she and Charles Xavier would break all the rules. And here we are, I think, in the 10th life. This is the conversation that issue 1 ended in. And she's talking. And I wondered why sitting there under parted skies and brilliant sun was this strong man smiling so. I was, wasn't I? Yes. Do you want to know why? I do, very much so. I was smiling because I have recently had the most wonderful dream of a better world and my place in it. And she looks and she thinks, well, here's the thing, Charles. It's not a dream if it's real. I'm sorry. Do we know one another? Oh, yes, we go back quite a ways. Who are you? Why don't you read my mind, Charles? Read my mind and see. Ah! And then now we have a quote from Marta X. I am here. I have always been here. Okay, and then now we got a little special feature. This is the timeline of Marta and her 10 lives. Life 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Myra Kinross born in year 1. Myra enrolls in the Edinburgh Academy. So it's going to follow all the lives here. And then here's a big nexus point. Year 13, mutant manifestation. Year 13, Moira goes to America, meets Xavier. So that's in the other life. Right over here, number 7, I guess. So all the events we just read, this is the timeline of everything all laid out. Year 15, year 15. I'm debating if I should read all these. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Let me see. I guess I'll read them. It'll take a while. Okay, Life 1. Year 1, Moira Kinross is born. Year 8, Moira enrolls in the Edinburgh Academy. And then year 13, Mutant Manifestation. So let's just follow Life 1. Year 15, Moira meets Kenneth Cowan, falls in love. Year 17, Moira meets Xavier. 19, Moira marries Kenneth Cowan. 23, Moira gives birth to twin boys, Colin and Dean. 27, Moira gives birth to a daughter, Abigail. And then it goes all the way to the end. In year 68, Kenneth dies. Year 74, Moira dies of congestive heart failure. So she makes 74 years in that one. So the other lives begin the same. Moira's born year 1. Then it keeps going. Moira enrolls in the Edinburgh Academy. That goes to life 2 also. Then her mutant manifestation is in year 13. And then at 15, Moira meets Kenneth Cowan. Does not fall in love, so it changes. Moira enrolls at Oxford, year 16. Moira becomes a biology professor, year 20. Then, when she's 31, Moira founds the Muir Research Institute. And then at the year 44 is when Moira dies in that plane crash going to see Charles. So life 3. Now everything happens the same. She's born, doesn't enroll in the academy. Her manifestation happens at 13. And then, let me see. Yep, keeps going over here. Moira enrolls at Oxford, year 16. Keeps going. Moira founds a Muir Research Institute, year 28. Moira identifies X gene, year 36. Moira wins Nobel Prize, year 38. And Moira dies in a laboratory fire, year 42. Okay, life 4. We're just rolling right along. At 16, Moira enrolls at Oxford. 23, Moira and Xavier marry. So this is where she falls in love with Xavier. 35, Xavier and Moira establish the Xavier School for Gifted Children. And then Moira dies in a Sentinel attack in 55 years old. Okay, life 5. We're going around. We're getting there. This one goes all the way to year 24. Xavier and Moira establish the mutant nation of Far Away. Then in year 43, Moira injured in Sentinel attack. She's in a coma. And there is genocide at Far Away in the year 44. When she's 44 years old. So that one's a crazy life. Number 7. Looks like way over here. Yeah. Moira joins the BAF, receives military training. Year 16. This is the one where she's trying to assassinate all the people, I guess. Moira disappears. Year 21. Moira kills Bolivar Trask. Moira kills Donald Trask. Moira kills Gwyneth Trask. Moira kills Simon Trask. And then in year 49, Moira dies after discovering Wild Master Mold facility. That was the one where the machines were still building, they couldn't stop. So life 8, all the way over here. Moira enrolls at Oxford, age 16. Moira rejects Xavier. Moira joins Magneto. It's one where she goes for Magneto. Magneto conquers America in year 27. 28, Moira establishes House of M. Year 35, Magneto dies in War of M. Moira imprisoned. And Moira dies in failed prison escape in year 38. Okay, life 9, we're almost there. This is one where she goes with Apocalypse. Moira wakes Apocalypse when she's 18. At 19, Apocalypse kills Xavier. 21, Apocalypse kills Magneto. At 24, Moira and Apocalypse rescue the first Horseman and return to Earth. 28, Moira and Apocalypse form the X-Men. Year 35, Apocalypse enslaves Sinister. Year 42, Apocalypse War begins. And then it keeps going. Alright, so Undisclosed Future. And then Life 10. There it is. Year 16, Moira enrolls at Oxford. Year 17, Moira meets Xavier. Year 25, Moira marries Joseph McTaggart. Year 27, Moira founds the Mirror Research Institute. Year 28, Moira wins Nobel Prize. Year 31, Moira gives birth to Proteus. Year 43, Moira and Xavier recruit Magneto. Year 47, Moira, Xavier, and Magneto schism or schism. Year 48, Moira fakes death, Shi'ar Golem. Year 49, genocide at Genosha. And year 52, House of X in undisclosed future. All right, that was a lot to go through. All our different timelines, but let's see how the book's going to finish. There's a chasm between you and I, Charles, a gap that cannot be crossed. With each passing day, I fear it never will be. Magneto. Now we have the X-Men Year 1, X to the 0 power. There they are. She's pushing them in the wheelchair. Island M, the Bermuda Triangle. You have Magneto here talking. They say it is easy to become lost in this part of the world, that those who set sail on these waters are often never heard from again. But you are beyond the superstitions of man, and though lost, I know you have never lost your way. So what are you doing here, Charles? I'm here for you, old friend. I cannot tell you how much it would please me to know that you and I would stand side by side in the coming days. But I have learned hard lessons and no longer believe there is a place in this world for both your dreams and mine, old friend. And what if I told you you were both wrong? That both our dreams are fleeting and too small for the coming days. I would find that hard to believe, you losing your faith. Tell me, Dr. McTaggart, you're a you're a specialist specializing in the behavior of mutants. Do you have any keen insight into what ails the good professor this day? Well, I may be the only person on this planet who truly understands what ails you both. But I have to warn you, my truth is profound and life-changing. It's primal, and I wonder if you are capable of bearing the weight of it. It really all comes down to one thing, Magneto. In this world, who determines what is truly good and what is truly evil? I do. I decide. Then open your mind to me, open it to us, and together we will figure out what to do about tomorrow. He's quiet. Then he says, and how do I know this isn't a game, some ploy to defeat me? How do I know you're not going to tamper with my mind? Please, just this once, trust me. So he takes his helmet off, and the professor uses his power, and he's holding Moira's hand. They're going to show him stuff. So he sees himself getting killed by the Sentinels. He sees himself in chains, yelling. Looks like he's captured, and some crazy monsters there. And then he says, you're a mutant. And all those lives, was it real? Yes, I am a mutant. And yes, that was as real as it gets. Why would you show me that? The great failures, all the great fails. Because her truth is profound and life-changing. And apart, we always lose. We believe it's only together that you and I, that all our people can survive. Charles, you know better than this. I'm not interested in survival. Good, because I'm not either. I believe that the one thing I haven't tried yet, all of mutantdom as one, is a thing that means more than just surviving, but thriving and assuming our rightful place on this earth. We have a plan. It's ambitious and long term. Join us, Eric. Join me. I won't acquiesce to sympathy or doubt, Charles. I won't give an inch. I will check you at every moment of weakness, and if you falter, know that I will not. I would expect nothing less. And he reaches out his hand, and him and Magneto shake it. And that's the end. That's how we end. That's crazy. That was a good story. A lot of new stuff using Moira like that in the timeline and having her experience all the different things. That's a pretty cool way to go and set up the rest of the story. But thanks for joining me. Next time we'll jump into Powers of 10, issue number 2, and we'll keep going. It'll be chapter 4. We're together now, you and I. And we'll see how all this connects in the future to the present. But all right, thanks guys. We'll see you again next time.